Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Christians Podcast. Not just another podcast for Christians, but also for unbelievers as well. So whether you're a Christian or not, it's totally safe here. Nobody's going to persecute you. At least we won't.
That's not our plan anyway.
That's not our job. That's right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Appreciate you subscribing to our channel. We've got some stuff queued up for the day that we thought might be interesting to talk about. I was at work with a friend of mine, and he said, America wasn't founded on Christian beliefs like everybody thinks it was. And I said, well, yeah, it was. You kidding me? Yeah, it was. Everybody knows that. And then he's like, no, actually, it was, it was written and didn't say about Christianity in there, and it was rewritten. And I thought, well, let's get to the bottom of this and see what is it. Was America founded on Christian values or just God values? What do you think the answer is?
Is there a difference there?
Well, there has been some. Let's take a look at first the Declaration of Independence. All right, written in 1776, drafted by Thomas Jefferson. He references a creator and nature's God, which reflects a belief in a higher power, but is not explicitly Christian. Phrases like endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights suggest an acknowledgement of divine rights, but the document itself does not specifically say anything about being a Christian doctrine. So what do we say about that?
And this is a very highly debated topic, honestly. And because you have people on one side who absolutely say the country was not founded on Christianity. And then you have people on the other side who says absolutely it was founded on Christianity. And the answer is actually in the middle. There's not a hard yes or no to any of that because, for those, to your friend's point, absolutely Christianity is not mentioned in any of the founding documents. But to your point on what you just read, and with many of the documents that are out there, there is reference to a creator,
right?
Or a higher being, or a deity, or something along those lines. So you can't just say there was no influence of Christianity upon the creation of this country, because it clearly states something of that nature,
supernatural,
something above themselves,
right?
That they recognize.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Or we're endowed by our creator.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And what's interesting to me, Thomas Jefferson was not a believer, but he was more of, like, if you want to call it, like a deist who recognized that there was something bigger than himself that he acknowledged to, which put him to write that within the documents.
Yep. In fact, it says here the founding fathers held a range of religious beliefs, while some, like John Adams and George Washington, were devout Christians. Others, like Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, were more deist in their beliefs, emphasizing reason and morality over specific religious doctrines. Jefferson, for example, created the Jefferson Bible, Trump Bible, which removed supernatural elements and focused on Jesus or moral teachers. I wonder how many people bought that book, like taking out parts of it. Hey, did you get the new Jefferson Bible? Right?
Yeah, I don't think it was a big number one hit, but you never know.
You never know. But the acknowledgement of it, and I guess it's the freedom of religion, because I've been battling with that in my mind. I'm like, I got a mosque, a Muslim mosque right down the street. I mean, right across the street from us. Parking is so filled up here. And I often wonder, I don't know what to think about it. I think, well, I guess it's good that they have the freedom to practice the religion in this country.
Absolutely.
Even though it's not mine.
Correct. And that's what the founding fathers wanted.
Yeah.
Because we have to almost go back to what was the whole reason of why they came here to begin with. Because in England, the church and the government was basically one, and they were the ones dictating what religion was, what you worship. It was all just one unit.
If you live here, you got to believe this.
This is what you're doing, and they were under pretty heavy.
Where was this? In
England.
In England.
Yeah, and so what happened is you had some of the people actually fled, and they went to the Netherlands, because in the Netherlands they had a little less, the laws weren't as scrutinized, or they were a little less, so therefore they could do that way. But they didn't even like Netherlands because they spoke a different language. It's almost like they were losing their culture. So that's when they decided, hey, we need to go to this new world. So they fled to here to set up a system that allowed people then to worship how they wanted to without the government controlling the whole thing. So they would not have they wanted separation from church and state, but they also recognized the values of God, the values of their belief system, and brought those into our founding documents.
So it's like they said, we believe, at least some of them were Christians. You think of 1776, and that's 1776 after Jesus died and rose again.
Basically, yeah.
So all that time, and now we've got a country who was established that said we want to make this the best land on the world, right? And in order to do that, it has to be welcoming to all people. That's what this melting pot society we live in America. And it accommodates all beliefs and religions. It doesn't persecute them, which is, so tell me, do we know, in other countries that they're not allowed to practice Christianity or any religion without persecution?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you talk about North Korea is one of them. You
can't be a Christian.
There are churches who are underground that can't be told because they will be sought after.
Okay, North Korea.
Yeah, and really one of the research documents that I found, it was a little bit ago, but it showed how some of these countries are becoming more intolerant of Christianity, and it's showing how dangerous it is for Christians to even go there. So that is even on the rise throughout this world. So, when you start getting into countries like Africa, who are becoming a lot more Muslim based, or just in the, Middle East and those kind of things, who are a lot less tolerant to Christianity. And I mean, they want their Islam faith to be the prominent faith. So yes, that is around the world.
Would you say most countries in the world have freedom to practice, or would you say not? It seems like we're one of the few.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are still quite a few countries, and I think England now has kind of become that way, where you're more open to worship how you want to.
Doesn't mean you're not under social scrutiny. I mean, legal is one thing, but then there's the it's all races have equal rights, but we know how society treats certain demographics of people.
Yeah. I mean, it's become a lot more open than it has in the past. Let's put it that way, and that's really kind of what the founding of the U.S. was all about, because they even wanted to be able to say, if you didn't believe, we're still here. You can still come here. We want you to worship however you want to worship, or not worship if that's the case. And that's where a lot of Christians get a little upset, because there's churches that are designed for Satan. And it causes this little thing to go up our spine when we hear that. But they have that freedom to do that.
The freedom, and other churches who spawned off Christianity to accept accept more people that don't follow really, I don't say the rules, but in the Bible, all the hot buttons, right? I mean, there's churches that say you can be gay, you can be trans, you can have had abortions, you can have divorced, you can be in the middle of divorce and still full reign membership of the church and all that. And so that's freedom to do so, right?
Absolutely.
And so we just have to, as Christians and our own beliefs, have to know that's their prerogative. And our judge filter always comes into play. We're judgmental creatures, so we can't help that. But it is that tolerance and acceptance of those freedoms of religions that we have to be better at. I think.
Yeah.
I think we have to be better at the respecting those freedoms. But as soon as it becomes enforceable, or that there's a group of people that are lashing out, it causes disruption. That's going to happen. But as far as in our country, if we were to say the Constitution was founded on Christianity, we as Christians kind of go, "Yep, look it up." But if you do look it up, it does not say Christ, Christianity. It says God.
It says God, a creator, which are terms that Christians would use anyway. So that's kind of how you can lean that way. But more importantly, I think, is even though it doesn't necessarily say Christ or Christianity or things along those lines, what I think people tend to confuse it with is that our founding documents were created based upon Christian values. If you go back and read those documents, those documents, mention a lot of what the Bible and what Christ talked about on, treating people and all the value system of Christianity. So, and our founding fathers were very influenced by that, which is why they say, hey, these are good things to live by, for a society to live by. We're going to put them in here because they're good for everybody, no matter who you are. And I think that's where a lot of people get mixed up with Christianity, because we are about love. We're not about hate. We're not trying to kill people. That's not who we are. Even though we've seen that in the past, like with the Crusades and the Inquisitions and things along those lines, that's not what Christianity is about. Christianity is about love and helping your neighbor and, respecting other people and things along those lines, and which is what the founding documents were all about.
You know what it reminds me of? What God gives us also is free will.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was founded on this implied, that's what I believe, Christian values, implied, but we, much like God gives us, the freedom to do as we wish. There's the sticking point. Okay, we have the freedom to do what we want and practice what we want, and that's good. But as we have free will, that means that we can commit sins and we can be divisive towards other groups of people. We can think of other people as wrong for their beliefs and not accepting them. And, I'm kind of thinking that this wedge of our country, we're talking about the United States of America, the division that we have and the beliefs are so divided, right?
Right.
I think it becomes a harder landscape to follow when you have so much freedom. So the debate could be well, that's why we don't do that over here in this country, because it's too hard to please everybody.
Well, freedom, the freedom to do things set within the boundaries of our documents. Our founding fathers knew you can't just have complete and utter freedom, because then people would just be murdering everybody. You can't do those. But what they did is they put the parameter of God's morals within a structure to live behind, because our founding fathers believed and understood the concept of sin, and that we all have the natural ability to do that, because that's what's in us. So that's what created this document, to put some kind of a boundary on that freedom to also protect people. That's what it's all about, is trying to protect people from ourselves, and stay within a boundary of living, which is what the moral system is all about. And it's hard to argue this whole idea of morals. Everybody has morals. Question is, where do they come from? A lot of people have that struggle, because ultimately our morals come from what God set into place. regardless of where you live. So they took those God ideas and brought them into the Constitution and into the Bill of Rights and into those to help us with that. So you could say, yes, some Christian values and morals were brought in to help govern.
I wonder. I mean, do we know? We should ask our AI friend. But has there been a president that was elected that is an atheist or agnostic?
I'm sure there has been.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that there wouldn't be. I mean, I'm sure early on a lot of them were, but I think, was it John Adams? I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it's almost like
but they respected the system.
using God in this country for ulterior motives is the thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
In what way?
When will there be a time when it's not advantageous to say, I'm a Christian, I'm running for president, and, when will you win more votes by saying I'm not a Christian than when you are? Because right now, the Republican Party are there are a bunch of Christians that some might say on the extreme side, some are in moderate, and some are just barely there, but they're still there, extremists, and they want to protect what's in the Bible. They take the words literally from,
Do you blame them?
The word freedom and the word, the Bible and freedom. It's the part where, is this country free, or are we going to force people to lose their freedoms?
And that's the dividing line. You cannot force morality. You cannot force anything within the Bible. It is not something that should be coming from the government. I don't have any problem if somebody says I'm a Christian when they're running for office, because that lets you know, hopefully, ultimately, we don't know what their value system is.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I have to bring it up again, but like again, meaning we've talked about this on other podcasts before, but the abortion, the freedoms, okay? And there's some, we're talking about America now, and I just saw in the news that there's, the pharmaceutical, the company that makes the pill that you can let you have an abortion, therefore not needing to go to a place that is illegal apparently now to have an abortion or get an abortion, and all the laws around, well, this woman, stories that I wouldn't allow, the doctor wouldn't perform. Those people are interpreting this chaos as taking away freedoms.
But again, you got to keep freedoms within a boundary, because what if I just said my parent is not doing real good over there? I just think we should just go take care of them and take their life.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that versus...
That's the argument, right? I mean, that's the life argument.
But that is the parameter that was set up in the beginning with our Constitution about protecting life, because God is the one ultimately in control of life, not man. And when we start taking our matters into our own hands of when to take life and when not to take life, we become God.
But is the separation from church and state, if we do that, or if we are separating the church and state, then shouldn't the country represent the freedoms that the country represents, independent of what the Bible, the Christian Bible, says? And so the Christian Bible would say, oh, if this is the case, then we should not kill anything, and even unborn fetuses, right? But that's what the Bible.
So is murder wrong? If I go over there and shoot someone, is murder wrong?
That's the part where it seems not more clinical and more. It seems different.
Is it wrong?
I know. I mean,
Doug, is it wrong? Yes or no?
If I were to point a gun at somebody and shoot them and they died,
is it wrong?
That would be wrong.
Why?
Because I took their life. Right now, if I took a fetus's life, I would have to perform a surgery or have to take a pill. And that would kill an unborn life, and it's that unborn.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm just going with killing right now.
Okay,
we're just
I
talking
shot
about
the
killing.
guy.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's why? Where did that come from? That murder was wrong?
I mean, from the beginning of time. I mean, if you kill
God,
yeah,
God put that parameter in there. So whether it's whether it's in the fetus in the womb or whether it's somebody who's outside living, it doesn't matter. Murder is murder because there's a living being. And regardless of where it comes from, whether it's in our Constitution or whether it's in the Bible, everything has stemmed from that moral system that God created. So everything that we put parameters around.
I guess the difference is I think the argument people have is that if I killed that person, they were outside the womb. They were
okay.
outside.
So and when I talk to people like that, what makes it different? And they're going to say, well, at what point do we tell someone that their life has ended? And it's when their heartbeat stops, right? Mm-hmm. There's a heartbeat going on inside that womb.
Yeah, I know.
So that is if you're going to use that parameter, that is the same thing inside of a human being.
Yeah, and you understand though that how people will see it differently. But what you're doing is good. It's making sure that we understand what taking a human life is, and from the heartbeat, right? Yeah. And that's
so you cannot have openly freedom. That's why I said earlier, freedom by itself, without any parameters, is actually destructive and dangerous.
Yeah.
You have to have walls around that freedom, or else we would be out killing anybody that makes us mad. We would be burning someone's house down just because they ticked us off. We would be ramming them in the cars because they turned it and cut us off. And we would be open and free to just do anything along those lines. We'd be open and free to do drugs and just kill ourselves and destroy society. Mm-hmm. So freedom without that is not freedom. It's actually very destructive. And that's what our founding fathers knew.
Yeah.
Which is why they have to do that. So
that higher power kind of implies us as humans are going to screw it up, much like God tells us,
because
right?
of sin. Yeah.
And so we have to resort to this higher authority, which is God Almighty, and put that into our country's values, because we have to resort to that, because that is
ultimately where it all comes
ultimately where it comes from, right? But as humans, we try to come up with laws that benefit certain people and certain classifications of people. I just don't understand why they can't, as advanced of a country as we're supposed to be, why it's so difficult to get the details ironed out about that subject, abortion. Because, like, what if a woman is sick and she goes in the doctor's, she's like, here's my situation. And the doctor says, I know, I can't. My hands are tied. It's illegal. I can't do this, but I could die. I know. That, to me, there should be a way to resolve those particulars, the exceptions, and whether it's if the woman would die because of having the birth, or if it was a rape, all those scenarios that say, hey, it's my body. I should be able to do what I want with my body. And if somebody raped me, or if I'm going to die because of having this birth, I want to have that option and the freedom to do so. And so tell me what you think about that.
Well, one, you're stuck on the abortion thing. This is so much bigger than just the abortion issue, because this is on all laws. Mm-hmm. I want to do whatever I want to do. You could use this same topic for an HOA system in a house, owning a house. I want to do what I want to do on my house, on my property, but the HOA stuff won't let me. How come we can't make laws that just allow me to do whatever I want to do? Or whatever the case may be. I want to be at work. I want to work from home. How come the laws of the company don't allow me to work from, home when I can be? So you're never going to be a society where everything is going to make sense 100% to everybody. You're always going to have somebody who wants to buck it, who wants to change it, because we have different likes, we have different feelings, we have different beliefs, all these things. There is no way to make a society, no matter how advanced you are, work autonomously with everything, regardless of the issue.
Do you think Russia has...
No, absolutely not.
Hey, Putin, it might be a good idea to incorporate some sort of balance to the...
Let's let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
The Roman Empire didn't have it. Yeah. None of them. They've all fallen. So
because you look in the Roman, it was okay to, they were spearing people and they were stoning people and they were killing people, and that was like, yep, that's what we do. And so
there's only going to be one system
We know how that story ended, though.
Where we will see 100% autonomy, and that's only when Christ comes and is reigning with peace during this time. That's the only time it'll ever happen.
Yeah. Do you think our Constitution, our freedoms, are at risk of being? Are they being compromised?
Absolutely, they are.
And how far do you think it can go here?
Well, we're seeing it with Christians, because there were Christians who all they were doing, let's just use the abortion topic. They were outside of an abortion facility, or they might have even been inside, but they weren't doing anything. They weren't getting into the way. All they were doing was praying.
And who's they?
Christians.
Okay.
Were just praying at an abortion facility. They were arrested and thrown in jail. What happened to their freedom to just be there to pray? Mm-hmm. They weren't interfering. No one was getting hurt. So our things are being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Things are changing. And what's funny, Christ said that was going to happen. Because of my name, you're going to be persecuted. And it's only going to continue to get worse.
What are some other things that we've seen, like, wow, we didn't used to have to think about these things now. And, it's almost like there has developed, or maybe it's always been there, but now that there's a collective group of people that can go around demanding maybe their freedoms, expecting to have laws changed for them because they're American citizens, but they've somehow evolved into a category of people that the country has a hard time dealing with to please them.
What about allowing children to make a decision to have their sex change?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Not children.
We would never have allowed a child. We don't let them vote. We don't let them do things. I mean, there are certain things that they can't do because they just aren't mature enough to make those decisions by themselves. They can't get a tattoo. They can't do things. I mean, there's a lot they can't do because we know it protects them.
Yeah.
But yet now we're going to change laws and say it's okay for you to go, have a physical surgery that's going to affect the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Really? So we're seeing that degradation.
And that's a part where you think, well, where does the government, where does the laws, the state come in situations like that?
Yeah. That's what's at battle right now.
It's those boundaries that are hard for a country like America, who was founded to be a melting pot for everybody. Every religion can be practiced here, and all kinds of people are welcome. It just becomes very difficult to manage, right? And to put laws, because certain states, we know, have laws that are pertaining onto the people that live in that state that are different from other states.
Well, and that's the beauty of our system. And the founding fathers knew that. There was an overarching document, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, that governed in a higher level. But they wanted the states to be still in control.
Yeah.
And so they allowed things within the state system. Y'all handle that yourselves.
Isn't that pretty much the core basis of the uniqueness of America?
Absolutely.
When you look at the other countries, there's different cities within countries, but to have the independent freedom to have the laws based on those people in that state is pretty.
I mean, I think there are a lot of things that our government right now is controlling or putting laws into place that should never have been in the government's hands. That should always have come down to the states to let the people decide.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, because everything is not black and white. And we know we're being told you're either with us or you're against us. It's either this or that. It's not that way. You know that. And we all know that it's not that.
But there are some things that are black and white.
Okay.
And our faith.
I agree. But I'm trying not to discount the fact that it's complex. And that there's humans involved and there's lives involved, and so to have the freedom to live in this country is one thing, but it's another to live with God, and that's the freedom that I guess that we're enabled to have here. I think I was just going to bring up the David Koresh, somebody who believed in Jesus, who believed in, and was he a sinner? Yeah, he had children, the deal, him and children and multiple wives, but that's still freedom for him to do that. He got guns. Did he shoot anybody? No. Did the government go, we got to do something here? Yeah, they did. They imposed I don't know where you guys fall on this one. There are a lot of people that say, Koresh, he should have had the right to keep practicing his religion in his compound. And yes, he had guns, but the laws are set up to have guns. And so, whether or not you think he was bad is one thing, but the other is to say, did our country cross the line to try to enforce something? They were already down the road with what they had done, and they couldn't back out. They felt and had to destroy, and all those people were
whole
killed
thing was horrible.
because of what the state, the government, whatever. The president knew about it, but he, plausible deniability on all this, and that seemed like a little bit of harsh.
And you're always going to have that. You're not going to get away from
And those are those exceptions. That's the complexity that we're talking about. It's not black and white. It is, this guy believed in God. Us Christians believe in God. He was preaching it. He knew the Bible very, very well. He just had ulterior motives, and he was a sinner, and he was, had pride and ego and manipulation. But what other Christian people that we've seen on TV that have gone through things like that? So it becomes complex. Yes, God is the truth and the way, and we should look at that as the truth. But in this country, it's sometimes hard for people to understand that it's okay that somebody doesn't believe the way you believe, and they can practice their own religion
as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else.
As long as it doesn't hurt somebody else. But there are so many things in this country that I thought we could have done a better job of figuring out.
Doug, we are
technology.
We are a young country.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
We're a couple hundred years old.
But I mean, I think of the information.
Other ones that were thousands of years
Yeah.
old didn't get it. And just because you have information does not make you going to be better. Bible even says more information, more knowledge, it puffs you up.
That's a big part of it. So the abundance of
you're not gonna ever have that type of thing. That's why I said earlier that will only come when Christ comes.
Man, wouldn't it be nice to have grown up when you didn't have the internet and the truth was the truth, and it was
they had their own issues.
The compounding of misinformation that is online is pretty scary, and we think that most people would go, hey, people are going to know the difference, that's their opinion, but some people literally take it to heart and think that this is true when it's not really true.
So to go back to the original question.
Yes, the original question.
Our founding documents were actually founded on Christian values, not maintaining that we have to be a Christian nation. That's not really what it was, in my opinion. But they wanted to take the values and implement them into a society. And to help make it work better.
And I think that for the most part, those patriots of this country of ours would say that's one of the greatest things about this country is our Constitution and how things work here. We accept people. And all religions, even though it didn't say Christian values, we kind of go. Us Christians feel like it was implied. Those who go, yeah, that's what all you Christians think. You always find a reason to. But okay, whatever you want to think is your deal. But it's implied.
I think the founding fathers probably wanted a Christian nation. I think they really, because of the value system that was there. And I think they wanted that.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong in saying that that's not what they wanted to create, but they also wanted to make sure we had the freedom to. The freedom to worship however we wanted to.
Well, the 4th of July is not too far away, so I hope if this airs that it's around the time. Happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
And Father's Day is around this time. We don't want to reveal when we record these all, but it could be soon. So happy Father's Day to folks out there. We appreciate you listening to today's topic on the Constitution.
If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe. We appreciate
Make some comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep.
So anything like that would help us out.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Have a good one.